I hit go live. Oh, we're live.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm
Hi,
Diane,
I'm Bruce.
and you don't have any guests tonight. You just have us. So
Okay, cool.
it's going to be better than ever, right?
I'm wearing my official Needle Group swag.
And you want this to broadcast to end soon, Bruce. What's going on? You just told me like we have to be off at a certain time. Let me guess.
Birthday party.
Oh, not the Red Sox?
No, they lost last night.
Oh,
Then
okay.
they do not have a game until tomorrow night
Okay.
when they
That's
play Game 6 in Houston.
silly me. I thought we had to rush off for a Red Sox game. That's what I thought we had to do. But
Nope.
all right. So tonight on Real Talk, every week we come to you at 7 o'clock and we talk about all different subjects having to do with real estate. Some we have talked about staging. We've talked about capital gains taxes with our CPA, Doug Covell. We've talked about mortgage rates with Jason Evans. So we bring to you every week, we try to bring something topical, something that provides you value. And what better value to talk about tonight? Fall maintenance tips and getting your house ready for the winter. I don't know about all of you, but Bruce, when you and I bought our first house, I don't know, it doesn't come with a training manual, same as parenting, right?
I think we approach both of them the same way.
Whoops, that shouldn't be there.
I
What do we
think
do
it was
now?
that's your responsibility, not mine.
So we have put together our top 10 home maintenance tips as we head into winter. So right now, it being fall in New England, the temperatures at night are not getting below freezing, which thank God, because there's a lot of things you should do before it gets cold. So for all our new homeowners out there who were all excited about getting their new house and moving in, and they might have moved in the summertime, listen up, because these are things that, again, nobody teaches you, and we don't want it to be too late. We want you to be able to take care of your house so you don't get any surprises.
So before we know it, first frost will be here. There'll be icy glaze on the roads in the morning. So yeah, there's a lot of things to do to make sure that you're in good shape.
And I will also say that I think that um, I can even think of more tips of things, especially relevant to those of us living in Sharon and Greater Boston. So we'll talk about those too. So
Great.
let's get started, right? Um, number one, Bruce, this doesn't really apply to you.
No, I don't mow my own lawn. I'm sorry. I'll be the first to admit it. I have never mowed my own lawn in this house. I never will.
But
We hire.
you have mowed your lawn in other houses.
I have mowed my lawn in other houses. Now, strange thing though. So growing up, my dad did not believe in gas mowers. He didn't like having gas stored around the house. So he was anti-gas mowers.
Oh, that's
So I
funny. I
had to
didn't
mow
know
my
that.
lawn with an electric mower, dragging the cord behind so that it would stay out. And invariably you run over the cord. The cord's not long enough. You have to rearrange, et cetera, et cetera. But that said, you need to stow your mower away so that you need to make sure that you empty some of the gas out of it, make sure that it's ready to be stowed away and put in a shed or in your house or wherever you might keep it.
Can I just tell you, Bruce, you just brought back a memory. When I grew up in Milton, and my grandparents used to come over every day while my dad was working, and my grandmother, my as you know, my mom died when I was very young, so my grandparents used to come over every day to take care of me after school. And my grandmother's thing was to do laundry and ironing, and she, putchki around the house. But my grandfather's thing was to mow our lawn. Isn't that
Yep.
funny? Like you just brought back that memory. And I'm trying to remember though. I think he also had an electric mower, to be honest with you, because I do kind of remember that whole cord fiasco thing.
There was a day and an age where there was certain, people who believed in that electric mower. I don't know if you can find an electric mower now. Just like weed whackers. You see weed whackers out there, they're gas powered. I don't know that I would want to drag an electric weed whacker. They make some of them. It just
So
impedes
the
what you
benefit
can
of the
do.
gas is you have no cord. You just fill it up with gas and you mow.
Just
How,
yeah,
and that's how I would imagine that's how our son just bought a John Deere tractor to mow his
yeah,
own lawn. That's gas powered also.
yeah.
Okay.
Gas powered. That's exactly it. And he's got a garage and he needs to stow it away. If you have a garage, if you have a shed, that's where it belongs. Some people will leave their mowers during the summer months, like under their deck or outside, and then
Yeah,
just maybe put a tarp over them. Whatever it is, you need to just get it ready for the winter.
got it. All right. Number 2, store hoses and turn off outdoor water. I love this one. We actually recently, I think it was last year, we learned that we had quite a leak in our outdoor faucet, which I don't really pay attention to, the one on the front of the house. So that is something that you do yourself. So this is a separate one from turning off your sprinklers, right? Which most people cannot do themselves. If you have an irrigation system in your house, you have to typically hire someone to come and do that. Well, at least when you're married to my husband, you do. I don't know about you others, but I think you have to hire a company to do that.
The best tool in my toolkit is a telephone.
Okay, let's not go there. So storing hoses and turning off outdoor water. Where do we store our hoses? I mean, do you bring them inside? You bring them in the house, right? In the garage?
Yeah, because the hoses may sometimes still have water left inside of them. It's hard to get water out of a hose altogether.
Yeah.
We'll talk about. I think we're talking about sprinkler systems at some point where you blow them out with some type of compressor, some compressed air. I don't do that with the hoses. I basically just bring them inside and leave them coiled up in the basement or in the garage.
Right. And as far as turning off the water, I know that when we are at home inspections with people, our home inspector is always very good to say, this is where you turn off
Right.
the outside faucet, not the whole water to the entire house. He points that out to them also, but there's typically a separate lever for your outdoor faucet, right?
Yeah, so at each one of those outside faucet bibs, there's a lever, and if it's perpendicular, it's on. If it's I'm gonna go.
All right. If Bruce is wrong, I'd like someone to
Yeah,
comment, please.
that's why I'm stopping.
And tell us
If
what the right thing is,
Dean's
because we
not
don't
here, I
want to
don't know
give
what
out
I'm
the wrong
saying.
information.
Let's just leave it with turn off the water.
If it's this way now and it's working, then you want it this way. If it's
And
this
do it
way
the
and
other
it's
way.
working, you want it this way. All right, we got it. Okay, moving on. Oh, that is too funny, Bruce. Okay, I am trying to make this work now. Hold on a second. Why aren't I working? Here we go. Number 3.
Sprinkler system.
Drain and turn off the sprinkler system. So another really important one. So I actually am getting a little nervous. We have an irrigation system and they have to get into your home to turn off the sprinkler system. Now, if anyone needs recommendations, obviously these are very local people. Most irrigation companies only cover a couple of towns because it's a lot of houses and it's very time consuming. And you do it within a very short span of time. So it's all about manpower when you are calling a sprinkler company to service your irrigation system. Ours came on mid-October and we happened to be out of town and they left us a note and they're coming back, I think November 6th. Which I'm getting a little nervous because as you're looking at the weather, the evenings are getting very cold. The importance of turning off a sprinkler system is what the company does. And they charge you about, I want to say like $95 to shut off your system. They actually blow out the pipes, right? Because if you leave water in pipes over the winter, just like if you left a hose outside, if it can freeze, it can crack. And you don't want your underground pipes on the sprinkler system to crack. It's expensive. You have to fix it. So that's one thing they do before it gets below freezing temperature. They'll come out, they'll blow out the pipes, and they turn off the sprinkler system for the winter.
Right. They come inside. They run all of the cycles of the sprinkler system one by one and shut them down, blow them out, make sure that there's no water left in the system so nothing can freeze up.
Okay, I did something bad.
That's a pretty background.
I know. I think I might need to call my son in here to help me. I don't know what I just did.
That's not good.
I don't know what I did. All right. Let's see here. All right. I'm going to, how about that?
Okay.
I did a good job.
There we go.
All right,
Excellent.
we're back. Okay, good. Phew. All right, number 4, seal cracks around doors and windows. Now, this is something we have not done, but I would imagine, especially if you have an older home and older windows, it's drafty, right? If your windows, if there's a draft coming in any of the areas that are in your home that you feel a draft coming in, it's only going to get worse over the winter. So it is a good time to call somebody and seal those cracks around doors and windows. It's just this, I know we have the caulking gun, right? And they can just go around and seal that. Bruce, you use that all the time, right?
All the time. It's one of my favorite things. The other thing you can do in your windows and doors, so you'll see these draft kind of they look like a long sock filled. They can put up against the doors, but also they make plastic. You can put plastic over the windows on the inside so that you can seal the entirety of the window with plastic and tape so that nothing's coming in.
That's another really good point too. Someone just commented, you should take your if you have window air conditioning units, you need to take those out of the windows. Store those in your basement. Don't leave them in your windows throughout. If you bought a house and you bought in the summertime and you have window AC units, it's a very good practice to, some people just cover them on the outside. But I think a better practice is actually taking them out of the windows, storing them in your basement if for the winter, and making sure, your windows are going up and down secure, because it will let in drafts, right?
Yeah, I haven't lived in a big old drafty house in a long time, but I can remember when I was in college, at least when we had big old drafty houses, we would put the plastic on the windows because that was the best way to seal it, because air was just gushing in those old houses.
Yeah.
I think most people nowadays, if you've got, some type of decent windows in your house, new replacement windows, the seal around them is pretty good. But you can tell on any cool day if there's cold air coming in. There's many ways to get around it.
Yep.
Because you're just going to be throwing heat right out that crack in the window or whatever anyway.
All right, I'm ready to go to the next one. You ready? I love this one. This is something I didn't know for a long time. Clean your gutters. And then ask, who does clean your gutters? Well, first of all, don't clean your own gutters. I highly do not clean your own gutters. Why? Because you can fall off a ladder and kill yourself, and you don't.
I'm not doing it.
It's really like, and that's the other thing. A lot of people like to be handy. We're making fun of Bruce that he's not very handy around the house. But for many people, men and women who are handy and they want to do a lot of their own home maintenance things, climbing up on that ladder and cleaning your gutters is one thing that is just really dangerous. So I do not recommend you do it. I recommend you hire someone to do it. I recently learned that in addition to landscapers that clean your gutters, handymen will clean your gutters, and painters and roofers will also clean your gutters. Yep. Anyone who's in that field, listen, look at what it is. It's just a manual job. You are literally taking all the leaves out of your gutters, and you can use a blower as well up there, get all the leaves out. And why are you doing this? Because if your gutters are clogged, they're not going to flow when it rains and it snows, and it'll freeze and it'll cause all kinds of problems. It can cause ice dams, all kinds of things.
And let me just add to that probably you need to do it more than once, because the way that these leaves fall, if you're gonna wait till all the leaves are gone, your gutters are going to be overflowing. You may need to get up and do it twice.
Yep. The gutters too. What was the other thing? And I don't know if we have a slide on it, but the gutters are connected to the downspouts.
Right. Make sure the downspouts are connected.
Right. The downspouts have to be connected. And again, the other thing we learn in all the home inspections we go to is you want to make sure water is traveling away from your house. Very recently, we just had some work done in our backyard, and we had a new bed of plants put in and really nice mulch. Well, I went out there after a rainstorm, and part of the mulch was all washed away. I'm like, what the heck? It looked so beautiful just yesterday. Well, what happened, I didn't know this is what happened until he pointed it out to me. Your gutter is clogged, Diane. You need to get the leaves out of your gutters because the rain, what happens when they're clogged, instead of the rain going down the gutters and down the downspout, they're going over the gutters and it's making a big mess. And the other thing that happens with that is it doesn't just wash mulch away, but it impedes, it gets into your foundation. That's what can cause even more water problems.
So first off, I thought you were going to sing Itsy Bitsy Spider there. But secondly,
I can do that if you want.
If you look in your beds and there's mulch in there, so if they overflow, you can almost see the line of where the dripping is coming down. And that dripping just starts making an indentation in the beds and pooling up. And that's going to eventually get into your basement. As I hear Dean's voice in my head all the time, water is the number one most dangerous thing about your house.
Leads us right into this one here. Inspect your roof.
Yeah, I'm
right?
not doing that either.
Same idea. You don't want, as real estate agents, even in my own house, I'm constantly looking up, right? Like, do we have a leak? Is everything okay? It's raining really hard out. We have a few skylights, so, just being aware, small problems with water, roof issues, windows, leaks, they don't go away. They just get worse. So, if you see a little spot on the ceiling and you don't think it's anything, get it checked out because inevitably it's something happening in your roof. Maybe it's a bathroom leak if it's upstairs on your second floor and you're seeing a stain on the first floor on the ceiling, but it's definitely something to check out. So in the fall, again, inspect your roof. I guess you can just eyeball it.
So what you're looking for is if any of the shingles are starting to lift up in a windstorm or when it's windy. If your shingles are older, they're going to start to lift up a little bit. That's when it's time to start replacing your roof.
Got it.
Or all patching it if you want to get through the winter and patch it.
Got it. Okay. I don't know why I can't go to the next slide without going black, but anyways.
Okay.
Direct drainage away from your house. We just talked about that.
This is the downspouts you were talking about.
Yep. So
don't let the downspouts just end up at the corner of your house at the foundation. Pull them away. The Home Depot, everybody makes these extensions to pull them away from your house.
And we have another real life example at our own house. And it's not about downspouts, but it's about the grading of the dirt and the mulch that's around the base of your foundation. We found a discoloration in our finished basement on one of the walls. Bruce, do you remember this? And when we traced it outside, we actually have a dog pen on the side of our house.
Oh yeah.
And it meets the foundation. And we don't put grass seed there. We don't mulch in there. It's where the dogs go out. And so over the years, the grass pulled away, and it's like I never in a million years, until our home inspector looked at it, I never would have thought that was causing any issue. And it was, because it was like if the grass was here or the dirt right by the foundation, it went like this, right?
Yep.
And the water, when it rained, it just settled there. And when it settles there, it goes into your foundation as opposed to rolling the other way.
You just made a really good point too, that we should emphasize, and I'm sure we'll do an episode with a home inspector as well. But we had a home inspection recently.
On our own house?
On our own house, we had a home inspector come out and look at our house.
Yeah.
Because we've been here 20 years. We had a home inspection when we bought it. That was vastly different. We were idiots at the time. Like, oh my gosh, we're buying a house. If the home inspector says it's good, that's great. Like, we didn't process everything. Well, now that we live here, after a 10, 15-year period, do it again to see, okay, what else should I be maintaining that the home inspector told me, but I totally forgot about because I'm focusing on just 1, 2, and 3 and not 6, 7, and 8. Yep. And so we had a home inspector come in, which led us to a few fixes and repairs, et cetera, which was well worth every penny.
100%. I've always said that home inspectors are doing themselves a disservice. They should reach out to people like every 5 years and tell them they want to come back and do another home inspection if people are still in their houses. I totally agree with that, Bruce. Number 8, get your furnace serviced. There's nothing worse than losing heat in the middle of a snowstorm when it's 20 degrees outside. So now is a great time to make sure you have not used your heat for 3 months. Call your, if you have a boiler, you're calling a plumber, right? If you have forced hot water heat. If you have a furnace that's forced hot air, you can call an HVAC guy who does air conditioning and those types of furnaces. And just do your annual maintenance now. It's a great time to do it. If there's anything leaking or just a part needs to be changed, it's just a really good practice. Call them and ask them to come out and do an annual maintenance, and they're more than happy to do it. And it's short money.
I'm always amazed at how many houses we go into with buyers. And one of the key questions that buyers ask, tell me about the furnace. Do you know how old it is? Do you know if it's been serviced? And I always look for service tags because I'd like to tell my buyers, hey, here are all of the service tags. If the seller agent or the seller hasn't told us how old the furnace is, I can try and find a date on the furnace or go to the service tags to say, you know, this furnace is 20 years old, 30 years old, but look at this. It's been serviced every single year or every other year, or here's the log of the maintenance that's done on it. That makes you feel a lot better than you walk into a house, the furnace is grimy and dirty, and there's no single service tag on it. Now you think, have they maintained it? Have they not maintained it?
Yeah.
You know, now you're getting into kind of a he said, she said situation. That's not great.
Yep.
I'd rather walk into a house and see the service tags and know that there's a service history.
100%. 100%. Prune your plants. You know, this is something you pull them back now. That's something that you are supposed to do. I do not profess to be a gardener in any way, shape, or form. So I don't do this, but I know that it is definitely something that is supposed to be done in the fall. I know that if you do it earlier, it all just grows back even faster. So it's definitely something you want to do when all the growth of the plants has stopped. That looks like it could be, I don't think it's a hydrangea, but you can pull off all those dead sticks on your hydrangea and start pruning back so that they come up nice the way you want them to in the spring.
This is a great list of things I make phone calls about.
Look up chimney for blockages and check that the damper is working properly. Something else we recently did. We had new caps put on our chimney. You do not want, if you have just bought a house and you've never used the chimney, and even if your home inspector said the chimney is in good shape, it doesn't hurt to call a specific chimney company, have them take a look at it, make sure everything is working properly, make sure that it's pulling, you know, that there's no loose bricks, that the cap is working, the damper is working. There's nothing worse than starting a fire, wanting to get all cozy, watch a movie on a nice New England winter night, and then the room fills up with smoke, right? You need that happened to us before. I speak from experience. So you definitely want to make sure that that chimney is working. I know there's probably a few DIY tricks. Somebody once told us to light a newspaper, Bruce, and hold it up into the flue
and see if it's traveling upward, right?
You know, but that's just something it's, you know, carbon monoxide. There's all kinds of, you know, scary things that can happen, and it's worth it. Again, it's really short money. Call somebody, have them come
You need
in.
a specialist, though. You
Yeah.
need a specialist. You need a chimney person to do that. So but you made a good point there. So we don't use our chimney. We don't light fires in our chimney. So the blockage or the damper working properly isn't as important for us because we don't use them. They're decorative right now.
Right.
But if you look in this picture, what we did was we added a cage on top of where that terracotta flue is. We added a cage on top of that. Why? Because I came home one day and there was a little baby squirrel in our house. And he didn't like looking at me and I didn't like looking at him.
That was awful.
We had a little standoff, and then I don't know where he went. And then we decided we'd put cages on top.
please don't let the kids say you don't know where it went. They're going to think it's hiding under their bed.
I think he is. I think he is. But we put a cage on top of that little terracotta flue. And it's the best investment we've made on that one, because I'm not going to worry about wildlife wanting to come into the warm house now. And
Yeah.
let's face it. I mean, we're in Sharon. If you're in Sharon, you're living amongst wildlife. That's
Right.
what's happening. You're going to live in amongst wildlife, which would give you another, by the way, another tip that's not in here, that's more fall, but make sure that you seal up all of the little holes around the house that you might have little cracks, because field mice are going to want to come in those.
Right. Especially when it gets colder, right? Don't they start to come in at this time of year?
In the fall is when they start kind of nesting inside. You want to make sure you do that. I mean, anybody who's lived in Sharon has seen a mouse in their house at some time. That's just what they do. They're field mice. They're pretty harmless, but most people don't like them.
Yeah. No, I'm not a fan personally. Well, that's it. That was tip number 10. All right. I am going to stop sharing my screen for a minute here. If I can figure out how to do that. And now you just get us. Here
bigger pictures of us.
And well, there's a few tips that I want to add to this. Okay. One is for all the people that buy in communities that have septic systems, right? If you bought a house within the past few years and you live in Sharon, 99% of Sharon does not have public sewer. They have septic systems. You need to call and get your septic system pumped. You want to do that, if not every year, every other year. Make a point to call and get that done. That probably costs about $250. You don't have to be home when they come to do that. It's easy, and that's how you maintain your septic system. So that's another one I wanted to add to this. The other one I wanted to add is something that we had done recently. We have a brick walkway and paver stairs, and they were very dark. They were like blackish, because our front door the sun doesn't hit our front door. The sun's in the back of our house. So the walkway had a lot of moss coming through the pavers, and our stairs had moss growing on them, and they were discolored. And it took one of our handyman that came over and told me that it was actually mold, right? Like, you don't think of really like mold. It wasn't raised mold. It wasn't, but he said, because the sun's not getting it over the years, it's mold that is causing that discoloration on your walkway and your stairs. So we had somebody come. It was actually our painter. Again, a painter, roofer. They're used to doing this. It was really a power washing is what it needed, but it was a power washing with a strong chemical. I think they used bleach, actually.
Something, yeah.
They came and they sprayed it, and it looks amazing, and it dried, and it's nice and clean now. So that's something else to keep in mind.
Hey, Di, just to go back to the septic system for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, very much so. It should be on a regularly scheduled pumping, whether that's every year or every 2 years. You can kind of determine that with the septic company as to how much you use it, how many people are in the house, et cetera. But no more than every 2 years. And we've seen, people who pump 3, 4, 5 years, right. But, our recommendation is no more than 2 years to pump, because the question comes up, if you don't pump and take care of your septic system for $300, let's call it $300 for a pumping.
Yeah.
What does it cost to replace it?
Well, not much, only like $20,000.
Exactly. Could be, could be 20, could be in that range. So yeah, you certainly, it's that penny wise and pound foolish. It's much easier to spend that $300.
Well, listen, if it's not really a topic that probably a lot of people want to watch, but it is very interesting how a septic system does in fact work. There are only a few different components of it. Some are expensive to replace, some are not expensive to replace. And if you have moved to a community with a septic system and you're used to throwing chicken bones down your disposal and food and heavy stuff down toilets, you cannot do that. You are going to be sorry. So if you've been doing that, stop, call a septic company, have them come and do a pumping, and they too will tell you, and I've heard some crazy stories, but we won't go there tonight, but you want to make sure that they're going to report back to you, be careful. Don't be putting all those things down the toilet. They're not biodegradable. It's not, the septic system is not meant for that. It's meant for human waste. And
we'll do a whole episode on how a septic system works.
Yeah. Anyway, so all right. Anything else we missed, do you think? I think those are really the big ones.
I would say if you don't have a garage, go get a remote car starter.
Oh, that's a good one.
Listen, easy one.
That's not really a maintenance thing. That's
no,
just kind of a luxury.
But easy things. Now you're getting into wintertime. Make sure that you have a usable shovel. I can't tell you how many times I get to the wintertime. I go, oh shoot, I broke it last winter. I meant to replace it. Now I'm trying to rush out.
I have one. What about your brush in the car?
That was the next thing. I take mine out in the summertime, put the scraper back in your car now. Make sure that you have access to a scraper.
Yep.
If you need whatever you might use to melt ice around your house, and some things are better than others. I'm not going to say what's right and what's wrong, but cat litter or any of the ice melts or stuff that you might not use on like, we can't use certain things on our pavers, but whatever you use, make sure that they're available now. It's time to do your stocking up on those things.
Yep.
And here's a great one.
What about the reflector things, Bruce?
So lining the driveway if you use a plow. I know you'll find this hard to believe, all of our viewers out there, but I don't shovel my own driveway. Okay, there I said it. Of course, my driveway is 250 feet long. I tried to do it once, and I value my health more than that. But yeah, make sure that you've lined up your driveway now before the ground freezes to put out the reflectors or the guidelines or whatever you need for your snowplow guy. Another thing is you got to start thinking about taking in all of your summer furniture.
Yep. These are really good ones. You've got a lot to do.
Seriously, I'm tired already.
I don't think we have any more of those reflectors left. We've got to buy some of those reflectors. That's really important because just sometimes you have go find the nicest house in your neighborhood and just do whatever they do.
But here's another thing, and here's the other thing that always gets me. If I walk into Home Depot right now, there will be 50 reminders of things I need to do, because that they've got them all right up in the front of the store, all of the things that you need to winterize your home.
Absolutely.
So you walk in, it's like, oh, look, there it is, reflectors, check. Yeah, everything you need.
Bruce, what do you think of these tips?
Is it okay if I tell you I cannot read them?
Come on.
I can't.
All right. The first one says, to prevent your bathroom mirror from fogging up when you take a shower, rub shaving cream over the entire surface and then wipe it off and buff it with a cloth or sponge.
Ooh.
You're trying that tonight.
I don't use shaving cream, but yeah, that's cool.
Well, go get some, because I hate when that happens. Next one is, if you have a pool and close it for the winter, wait until water temperature is consistently below 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Algae thrives in warm, stagnant water, so the winterizing chemicals get used up more quickly if you close the pool too early.
Oh, that's interesting.
All right, so keep the pool open, take a nice cold dip.
Well, listen, as Ben just bought a house with a pool, we should tell him that.
Yeah. You have to learn all these things when it's very exciting to buy a home, but you have to take care of it. So, all right, we're wrapping up. Everyone, thank you so much for joining in tonight. I'm trying to get this on.
And we appreciate all of the topics that people have been asking us to cover. This was a topic that somebody had suggested, so keep them coming.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great evening.